This is a really special episode. So a couple new things here. One, for the first time, we're going to talk about a partner success story. And surprise number two, we've got someone new on the podcast. So with us is Kaz, well, actually Carolina.
Clicks are up 95% in the last 6 months compared with the previous period. That blog alone makes up for 31 to 32% of their traffic.
Yeah, like 30% better than last month's, which at this point of the year was really unexpected, which has been really, really awesome. Like I've said before, no point in paying for traffic that's not going to convert.
No.
And the site needs to convert, and the customer also has to be able to convert. It's a beautiful little marriage of both things. That's all it is.
100%.
Welcome back to another episode of the Inside Digital Podcast. This is a really special episode. So a couple new things here. One, for the first time, we're going to talk about a partner success story. And surprise number two, we've got someone new on the podcast. So with us is Kaz, well, actually Carolina. Do you want to talk a little bit first about your experience, how long you've been here and stuff like that before we dive in?
Sure. So I started back in January. My predominant expertise were in off-page SEO, which in layman's terms is link building, nothing too exciting. So I came here and immediately took quite well to the on-page SEO work that we have done. So had a load of technical stuff thrown my way, a lot of which I felt a bit lost in.
This is my fault.
For quite some time. But yeah, after a while I started picking bits up and like learning more as I went along, and yeah, that's pretty much my time at Tillison.
Yeah, hit the ground running and now doing amazing stuff for our partners and clients. So, which is exactly what we're about to talk about. So in this particular episode, we're going to walk through one of our growth partners. Weren't originally a growth partner, but one that we're very fond of and really enjoy working with, and one that we're really happy with the results on. So this particular partner, they're based in Berkshire. They are a water softener service and providers. Now, they don't just sell water softeners. They do boiling water taps, normal sort of kitchen taps, replacement parts for water softeners,
water filtration,
exactly, water softener salt and stuff like that. And it's just been a really, really good journey with them so far. So they originally came to us just as a PPC client. So we've been running Google Ads with them for the longest time. Went well, obviously, but where we had a good business relationship with them, we were able to talk to them a bit more about what their specific challenges were, and soon discovered that they actually had a need for kind of more all-encompassing marketing services, as most clients do. Rarely is it ever fully beneficial in a way that really benefits the client to only be doing one thing. Like just doing PPC can only get you so far, in the way that just doing SEO can only get you so far. So we pitched the growth partnership model to them, which listeners of this probably already know. I'm sure Mark has explained it in a very, very good way, far better than I could. And we've been doing that since August 2024 at this point. So in terms of the first thing that really happened, and this was before we'd even signed on to the growth partnership, is that we actually did a site rebuild for them. Now, the old site, and I think they'd agree with me, I'm not going to be too mean about it, wasn't great. Not only did they lack the pages really needed for them to gain more visibility and really kind of get the business more off the ground, the site itself really didn't resemble what the brand was supposed to be. This is a water softener company, obviously pitching to the more financially comfortable kind of middle class family, people in sort of 600k and above homes in Berkshire, London, that sort of area really. And the site just didn't really reflect that. The overall journey and experience just wasn't really in keeping with that. So the first thing to do was to rebuild that site with those things in mind, and to actually have a platform for them to use as a sales platform, where they had the actual dedicated product pages for the different water softeners themselves and for the other kind of consumables and taps and stuff they sold there. And I think that's been a massive success. With nearly all of the kind of growth partners we work with, this CRO massively is the thing that makes that tip. So getting the on-site experience as good as it could be was priority number one, really. So that's the starting point. And then with that, shortly after, the thing that is always really, really important is obviously the pay-per-click. So there's no point in really like paying to get loads of traffic to the website if the site itself isn't going to convert. So once we'd had the site and we could then build sort of a PPC campaigns that we knew were going to work, I think that's where we've started to see things scale. So specifically in terms of PPC strategy, there's different ad groups really for like the different types of products they sell. The majority of the emphasis is on the water softeners themselves, because that is their core business offering, and that, as you'd expect, is where they get the most profit, because water softeners, they're not cheap.
No.
But then we have different ad groups. We've got it kind of segmented into, your taps and your actually, I don't think this is correct. We then have it filtered down into like the repair and service as their other sort of business vertical. And those are the two key areas in Google Ads, because those are the things they want to push for the most. But with those things, obviously, paying for traffic gets you a lot immediately, but then you need to start looking at ways to scale that that can generate free traffic. That's really, really relevant. So,
you need to look at the long term.
So we've done a lot in terms of SEO. I don't know if you want to talk through that.
So I mean, the main starting point was just making sure that all the category pages were, as appropriately optimized as we could get them, really. Following on from that, any landing pages that are built, then obviously we'll spruce them up with general optimization. But another thing that we've found to be quite effective is actually having FAQ sections on the landing pages, just purely because that is giving people insight according to what they might be searching for, meaning that those landing pages are then actually ranking organically as much as they would be acting as a landing page. Then the next thing on our plate was to come up with a blog strategy. So we have been working on various blogs. We've now got various different types of blogs on the website. We've got some for water softeners, some for boiling taps. I think the next step is working on filtration. And so we're getting there in terms of the blog for sure. But I guess that's pretty much where we're at the moment.
Yeah, and I think what would be really cool to ask you, I guess, because you've done so much of that blog work and the results of that have been pretty incredible so far. I didn't know if you had any data you might want to share with us around like the SEO before and after, or the blog before and after at all.
Yeah, sure. So we've got like 6 months on 6 months, and just for example, just on the blogs alone, clicks are up 95% in the last 6 months compared with the previous period, which is pretty incredible. Clicks are actually now up to 1.27k in a 6 month period, which is quite a substantial growth.
Well, considering that before the site rebuild, there was no blog.
Yeah.
That you basically took that from ground zero is really, really, really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking at it like from the 6 months before, the blog with what little content was on there, maybe had like a few hundred clicks, if that. Now we're looking at over 1,000. Impressions on the blog in the last 6 months, we're looking at 139k, which if you compare that with the overall organic traffic the website is receiving, that blog alone makes up for 31 to 32% of their traffic. So that is actually quite incredible. Yeah,
and we can only really go up from there. That's the thing. So what we've already got is a really solid foundation, and it's just growing on that. I think in terms of SEO, I think a lot of people tend to really overcomplicate how to make a good SEO strategy in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
It's one of those things, and I think pay-per-click is very much the same thing, where we get into our fancy marketing acronyms. A lot of people assume it's far more complicated than it perhaps is. And that's not to say there's not nuance, but SEO...
I was going to say, it's still specialist.
Yeah, totally. But SEO really boils down to just making the pages relevant. And in terms of like in like a blog strategy, I say this all the time on the podcast, so I'm going to say this again, and I'm really sorry, but it's so true. It's just actually making stuff that addresses those how, what, and why questions.
Yeah,
that
100%.
The prospective audience 100%. Are going to be looking for, because that's when, that's top of funnel. Like they know they kind of want the thing, but they're not sure if they really want it, or they have an idea that it might be something they want, but there's some rejections in their minds that are stopping them from making that purchase decision. Yeah. And if you as a brand can be that answer to just be there when they want to understand, well, what does a water softener actually want to do? That's like one of the big objections. But like the other questions are like, well, how much is it? Or what are the benefits of it? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure you are the answer, because if you're not, your competitors absolutely are.
Yeah, 100%. And I think alongside that as well, and like, in addition to what you've said, I think a lot of the standing that I tend to take with a lot of the blogs is try this for yourself. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you know where we are.
Exactly. Yeah, it's subtly positioning the client as the solution.
Yeah.
Or
whilst providing that helpful information that people are actually looking for.
Yeah.
And that is the important part about it, is it has got to be that helpful information. It's no good giving a post or putting a post on a website that is like alluding to what could be the answer, because ultimately that's not going to rank, because it doesn't answer the question. Exactly. And Google can see that. Google is smart now, very smart. Like, look at the AI overviews. Like, you can't trick something that is that intelligent.
Yeah. Google simultaneously, Google's algorithm and Googlebot is intelligent. Google aren't.
Yeah.
That's probably a bit mean to say, but
it's so true though.
It's so true. So true. But yeah, and I think in terms of then like the specific measurements that tell us it's actually working, I think is a really important thing to talk about, because when a lot of agencies, and we've done this in the past, of like traditionally sold like SEO and PPC, we can always say, oh, we've increased the traffic by this much, or, oh, this thing is now ranking for this, like this much better. And I think the question always is, well, so what? You know, what has that actually contributed to? So I think like the main thing that's been an important benchmark for us and makes total business sense is actually like, oh, how's the revenue increased? Because this is what these growth partnerships are all about.
100%.
But if we're actually growing the revenue, then that's the biggest indicator to us that something is going really, really well.
Yeah.
And so in terms then of like that revenue, like improvement has been linear, or if that's been a snowball moment, I think looking at the data across this, we've seen like nice incremental increases to the revenue sort of month for month. And in particular in October recently, we're so proud of this internally. Like, we've been so excited at the fact that we've increased it.
We've been like full on screaming in the office.
Yeah, like 30% better than last month's, which at this point of the year was really unexpected, which has been really, really awesome. And I think like the main contributing factor to that, there's been a couple of things which have been really helpful at the moment. One, in the water softener world right now, which is really, really beneficial to this partner, Harvey water softeners have stopped servicing certain water softeners from an older generational threshold. Yeah. And they're turning away their customers, which has been really, really beneficial for our partner, who will do exactly that. So the influx in kind of Harvey, not only sales, but repair and service recently has really, really led to an increase in overall performance, which we're absolutely capitalizing on. And just like in terms of what channels have driven the most growth from that, the Google Ads has been absolutely pivotal to this, as it is with a lot of projects. The direct revenue we get is fantastic, and the over time the cost per click we've managed to decrease quite substantially. But where the average sale for this partner, where the average value of that conversion tends to be around £2,000, it really gives us the flexibility to work with potentially higher cost per clicks and higher cost per CPAs or whatever. And gives us that breathing room to experiment. What we want to do right now, because the water softener campaigns are performing as well as they are, is just talk to the client about increasing the budget as much as possible. And I think that kind of goes nicely hand in hand to like potential roadblocks. Through no fault of the clients. This is not a bad thing. It's just a limitation of the overall project, is how much budget can be reinvested into Google Ads to drive that forward. Because in an ideal scenario, we could sit them down tomorrow and say, look, just triple your spend on this campaign and trust us, it will work. Because it would. But in terms of like actual logistics and what kind of capital is available to the business, it's just not feasible.
I was going to say as well, like I think in terms of capacity they have on their side as they're running ragged as it is. Like they don't stop. Do you know what I mean? That's like they would have to look at hiring more people, and like as great as that would be, the question is that revenue that we're bringing. Is that going to be enough to cover the extra hire and then still make a profit? Exactly. And do you know what I mean? Like, and also if it scales too quick, like they're just going to lose their minds.
Well, exactly. And from like a sheer admin point of view as well, like processing those orders, handling the quotes, doing what's ever needed to take that from quote to sale, you know, it's a significant chunk of time.
Exactly.
Unless you've got a medium-sized team, is a lot for a small business. So there's that constraint. I mean, in a way, we have had to take a bit of a measured approach in, we'll scale this as much as we can and as quickly as possible. But we've also had to like really work with the client to understand their capacity and how much we can realistically drive, because there's no point in us creating an absolute stack load of more quotes. Would be awesome.
A tsunami of chaos coming their way.
If they can't handle it, you know, that would be such a shame. So we have had to take a bit of a measured approach. But
definitely.
I think what's been the key difference, and what's been just really fantastic with this project so far really is that client relationship, I think. I think with all of us that work on the project, individually we work with them quite differently on a personal level. You know, at Tillison we're really keen to have that friendship with the sort of business partnerships that we do have.
Definitely.
And drive that forward. But the communication and expectations are so transparent, and that I think is absolutely key.
I think it's also, sorry to cut you off, but
having
that alignment as well. Like we will communicate with them in the best way that is suited to them as well. And that is really, really important in terms of getting that alignment, because then you get to know the brand, you understand from their perspective and their level of expertise where they stand on things. And ultimately, that's what we need to be striving for, because we need to understand that to be able to do what we need to do.
Exactly. And that's enabled us to like really get under the skin of the business. I hate that expression, but it's so true. We have an ongoing document with them where we get their direct lead feedback on like anything that comes in, which they really, really kindly populate and keep up to date day to day, which is fantastic, where every single inbound opportunity comes in, it gets scored, an approximate value is assigned to that, a confidence level. And with that, we can make so many more smart choices around who we're targeting and where, because they are focused on a catchment area. That location-specific targeting is so important.
Definitely.
Because they need to know which neighbourhoods are actually going to convert and which aren't, because it's not a product for everyone. Most people, you know, be able to actually afford to install a full water softener in their home.
No.
So it's a premium product anyway.
Well, not a premium one anyway. Supposedly you can get water softeners that aren't the best.
But these are the real deal.
These are like, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, and you know, not everybody's going to be able to, or not. I think part of the problem, to be honest, is like is more of a lack of education on the subject. Like,
I would completely agree.
Because one thing I have learned from doing all the blogs is that there is very, very little information out there that doesn't come from a water softener company themselves, or from, you know, you get like a negative standing on it, but it will be from appliance companies and white goods companies. But they're giving you that negative standpoint on it because they want you to keep having to buy appliances. They don't want you to know that there is something that could make your appliances live longer.
Exactly. They, Currys wouldn't want you to know that you can massively decrease the amount of limescale in your kettle.
Exactly. Like, why would they tell you that?
Amazing water softeners.
Exactly.
And you're so right. Like, because as I'd said earlier on in this episode, the main question really that I get asked is, well, what do they actually do? And that's totally fair, because I would argue so much of the population would have absolutely no idea what the purpose of a water softener really is. I mean, it's in the name, but like to what end?
Should ask me, I'll write all their blogs.
Okay, go now, no joking. But like to what end? Why would you want your water softened? What does it actually do with your household stuff? What does it do to you? It's learning being able to communicate that has been really important and focus on those benefits. Yeah. And that's even stemmed down to like some of the creative and visual design work that we've done as well. So other member of the team, Tom, frequent figure on this podcast, has done so much design work for their vans, even like delivery on that, and sort of like leaflet things to drop into houses and stuff. Yeah. And that has all been centered around the lifestyle, the selling the product to the person and the benefit rather than what it is. Because water softener unit, it's not massively exciting, it's not sexy, it's not cool. But
that's why it gets stashed under your cupboard. Like.
But what it can do for you is, and it's that's like 101 marketing. 100%. Don't get me wrong.
And I think that is also like just sort of linking that back to the whole, communication and aligning with the partner, is like that has made a massive difference to the blog writing as well. Is that level of communication has meant that I can pull all those expertise about what water softeners do and how great they are, and actually take that info dump that I get given and turn it into a fully educational blog post. And that has made a huge difference, I think, in not only the output of blogs that we are getting out there, but also for the actual quality of the blogs themselves. Yeah. We're getting stats in there. We're getting, do you know what I mean? Like it's valuable information that people are looking for.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we started this particular section of the podcast around like roadblocks. Yeah. I think from your experience on the project so far, can you think of anything else that's held us back?
Yeah, so I would say, so we originally, Tom created a handful of landing pages which were handed over to me to do a bit of SEO work on, see where they could be improved and whether they could do better organically. And essentially the gist of it was that initially they were tanking it organically. And me and Tom had a brief discussion and basically came to the conclusion of, what if we stuck some FAQs on there? Did a bit of keyword research, get information on there that people are actually looking for. It took about 3 to 4 months of liaising with the partner and actually like trying to get it in place. But once we got those FAQs in place, those landing pages actually started, going on the up. Yeah. So it was exactly what we needed, adding that valuable piece of information. And I think that is why, obviously the purpose of a landing page is that you land on it and you know exactly what the page is asking you to do. Yeah. That is the whole point of the landing page. But if you want it to be found, you need that additional information somewhere, even if it's at the end of the page and nobody scrolls down and reads it, but at least Google can still pick that up. There. Yeah. It's still on the page. It's still valuable.
Yeah. And that's the fine balancing act we have to do between optimizing the page and making it as attractive as possible for the user, but you've also got to play the game for pleasing the search engine, the search engine crawlers, which is a delicate act, but fundamentally, if you're anchored around keeping the page informational but not going crazy, keeping the page relevant, and if the page sets out and answers what it's supposed to do and addresses what it's supposed to do, you can't go too far wrong.
No.
Generally speaking. It won't take you all the way in terms of SEO and CRO, but that's kind of like fundamental.
You can technically overdo it as well.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
let's not forget that important factor there. If you overdo it, that generally does more harm than good.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you should always avoid those like 30-meter long pages stuffed with keywords and crazy amount of sections that no one's going to read. You know,
an insane amount of low quality backlinks and
exactly. Longer the days. I mean, that's old school. Like 2000s SEO.
Way too old school.
Yeah,
too old school for even me.
That's it. Yeah. So in terms then, like, what's next? I think it's important to have a quick chat about that, really, because we've always got so many ideas. It's just practically and realistically what we can implement when we can.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk, because, you know, your expertise on this is the blog stuff. Where do you want to take that? What's next?
So essentially, one of the things that we have noticed, and this is potentially links back to the roadblocks really, but I think specifically with the water softener blogs, because they've been on the website for quite some time now, what we have noticed is that where the blog was so new when I started working on it, we didn't have categorization of the blog because we didn't have enough content there to be able to categorize. So now we have a fairly significant amount of content. What's happened is that maybe around half of the water softener posts, and I think we have about 12 of them, so let's say 6 out of 12, have gotten to a point where they've like stopped performing the way they were before.
Yeah.
And having done some digging on this, there's, you know, a couple of potential causes, and this could be the lack of categorization within the blogs, because naturally the Google algorithm likes to see things sat in folders because then it knows exactly what it's looking at. We don't currently have that on the blog, so that is something that we are planning to implement, just so that, I mean, it's an easy enough thing to do. It's like a quick win, isn't it? Like, you can set that up in maybe like half an hour at a push. Like, naturally you have to consider the logical categorization, but it doesn't take much work. And then the other potential cause for the roadblock would be the authority of the website itself and the authority of the blogs. So where before they were performing like insane amounts, like for a new blog post, like the results we were seeing were like phenomenal. What I've then noticed has happened in doing research when checking results of the posts is that a lot of other somewhat local water softener companies are now starting to create content on similar things, meaning that competition is now there, whereas before it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because when I was doing the research for the posts, a lot of the information was US-based information. There wasn't really much in the UK. But since these blogs were created, there is now more UK-based information, therefore more competition.
Yeah.
Especially where they are quite a localized company. So part of our strategy around that is actually working on some link exchange work using these blogs. So we're doing a test with, you know, top performing, see if it has an effect, see if it improves the authority, which technically speaking it most likely will, but we're going to give that a go, and provided it's successful, we'll then roll that out with prioritizing those that need the extra authority and, go about it like that, really. So in terms of the blogs, like, it is a case of implementing those two strategies, really.
Yeah, exactly that. And as well, I think in other project areas, the next areas for growth and refinement, one being the Google Ads campaigns. So as I said before, the water softener campaign that we have set up for them is performing so well at the moment. So if we can just prioritize that even more, potentially shift some budget and move that into there, that's going to be a really smart decision for the client. And I think they'll be really happy for what it does. But the next big thing for us is more of an email marketing strategy. They've got a really amazing legacy list of customers that they dealt with throughout the years. And we've done 1 or 2 campaigns for them that have done well, but I think we need to start setting up like specific email flows for people come to the site, get that integrated with their CRM, and do kind of have a more consistent campaign ascending, so we can really start to increase the sales across all products, really. But if we can get, a few more inquiries for water softeners a week on that, it would be amazing. Email marketing in itself pays for itself so easily, and where the profit margins and the average order value for some of these units for them being the way they are, email marketing would end up being such a scalable and cheaper way to really bring more revenue in. So
definitely. And it also leads into a good segue for getting those blog posts out there a little bit more as well.
We can synthesize it.
Because those email marketing campaigns can, either mention at the bare minimum, if not point people towards those posts, giving them that extra bit of visibility that, quite frankly, you always want more visibility. Like, who doesn't?
Exactly that. Yeah. It would never hurt, really, unless it's for completely the wrong kind of audience, which I don't think would really happen in this instance.
No, you've got to always target what you're doing. Like, you can't. There's no point in going, oh yeah, look, I got all these impressions and all these clicks, but how many of those clicks bounced? Oh, about 70% of them. Well, what's the point then?
Exactly. Yeah. Like I've said before, no point in paying for traffic that's not going to convert.
No.
And the site needs to convert, and the customer also has to be able to convert. So it's a beautiful little marriage of both things. That's all it is.
100%.
Wonderful. Well, that in a nutshell is this partner. I'm sure we'll have more stories. We already have more stories, but I'm sure we'll be doing more of these, because it's really good for us to kind of talk about what's worked. Reflect on that ourselves as well. It's an opportunity for us to really talk about that and celebrate that as well. So thank you for tuning in.
Cheers, guys.
This is us. See ya.
Bye.